Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to explain a drama, romance, and thriller movie called Deep Water, 2022. Let's dive right in. The story begins with Vic Allen cycling home from a ride in the woods. When he arrives, he takes off his pants at the door. Inside, he finds his wife Melinda staring at him silently. She then goes into her room without saying anything. The couple, Vic Allen and Melinda, live in Louisiana and have a daughter named Trixie. They need a babysitter for Trixie as they plan to attend a party at a friend's house. After that, Melinda asks Vic to help her choose a dress for the party. When Vic and Melinda arrive at the party, Melinda leaves her husband and approaches a young man, calling him her close friend named Joel. Without hesitation, Melinda and Joel immediately leave the party to spend time together in the backyard. Vic, witnessing his wife leaving with another man, watches them kissing outside. He then talks to another friend, Mary, who expresses concerns to Vic about Melinda being with another man, but Vic ignores her concerns, saying it doesn't bother him. Melinda openly shows intimacy with another man in front of Vic, even openly showing it in front of the party guests. She made fun of Vic, calling him boring as they passed each other. Meanwhile, Melinda takes the middle, playing the piano and singing, receiving a warm reception from the guests. In the middle of the event, Joel approaches Vic to chat. Joel thanks Vic for allowing him to have a close relationship with Melinda. Vic begins to tell a story about another guy named Martin, whom Melinda had dated and who had gone missing a month earlier. Earlier, Vic jokes that he killed Martin with a hammer. Seeing Joel's frightened look, Vic explained it was just a joke. However, Joel seems to take it seriously and believes Vic really killed Martin. After saying goodbye to Melinda, Joel leaves the party. Seeing Joel's upset and scared look, Melinda immediately asks Vic questions after the party ends. She wants to know what Vic said to Joel, causing Joel to suddenly want to leave. Vic lies and replies that he didn't say anything to Joel. After returning home, Vic goes to the room where he keeps and farms snails, finding peace in watching them reproduce. The next morning, while Vic is in the kitchen with Trixie, Melinda remarks that Trixie will become a bomb maker like her father. Trixie corrects her, saying Vic is a chip maker for military drones. However, because he felt he was financially secure, Vic left his job and spent more time doing things he loved, like cycling and spending time with friends. After dropping Trixie off at school, Vic meets a friend who calls him a murderer because news of his conversation with Joel has spread. Later, when meeting with his close friends, they begin questioning and advising him to control his wife instead of threatening Joel. Melinda later discovers the joke. She becomes angry with Vic for joking about Martin's disappearance. The next day, Melinda plans to invite Joel to dinner at their house, forcing Vic to apologize for his previous words and attitude. Joel accepts the invitation, and the atmosphere becomes awkward during the meal as Vic and Melinda exchange hints. Melinda suggests that Vic should have behaved normally towards Joel, but Vic denies it, saying that if Melinda wanted him to behave normally, she wouldn't have invited Joel. Their conversation becomes heated, and Melinda finally tells Trixie to go to bed. She asks Vic to read Trixie a storybook until she falls asleep. After reading a bedtime story to Trixie, Vic leaves her room and hears Melinda smooching with Joel downstairs. His expression clearly shows his upset with their behavior. Later, when Joel is alone, Vic approaches him and apologizes for the previous joke. However, after delivering the apology, Vic continues to tell the story of how he killed Martin with a hammer. He makes another threatening joke to Joel, asking him to leave before he loses his temper and does the same thing to Joel as he did to Martin last month. One day, Vic and his family are invited to a fun party, where he meets a writer named Don Wilson, known for his conspiracy theory novels. During their conversation, Don begins to dislike Vic upon learning about his past as a bomb maker. Don accuses Vic of killing Martin, unaware that it was just a joke made by Vic. Everyone at the party knows it was just a joke to scare Joel. During the dance session, Vic meets Kelly Wilson, who is Don Wilson's wife. Vic takes Kelly for a dance, surprising everyone at the party because they know Vic as someone who's usually stiff and lacks socialization. On the way home, Vic mentions that he finds Kelly attractive and enjoys talking with her. Melinda is jealous because she feels like she's competing with Kelly for Vic's attention. Melinda wants to show Vic that she's still the most attractive woman in his life. Melinda starts touching Vic intimately, which excites him. After proving her point, Melinda says she would rather die than hear Vic praise Kelly. Even though they both look upset, they continue their intimacy in the bedroom, leading to a steamy makeout. The next day, Vic finds Melinda at a soccer game with Trixie. Soon after, Vic gets a call from the bank saying Melinda sent $33,000 to someone named Charles for piano lessons. He rushes to his office to find out about Charles. After some digging, he heads to a restaurant where Charles works. To his surprise, Melinda is also there, seemingly interested in Charles. Vic starts to suspect Charles might be Melinda's new boyfriend. When Vic returns home, he is shocked to find their wedding ring in the sink, which Melinda has taken off. Later, he sees a news report about Martin's death from a wound to the head. Vic shares the news with Melinda, who is still drunk from dinner with her new partner. Hearing the sad news, Melinda is shocked to learn that. The next morning, Vic surprises Trixie with a new dog for her to adopt. On his way home, Vic sees Charles holding a bunch of flowers, likely for Melinda. He finds the flowers on the table when he gets home. Furious, he throws them into the trash. Later, Vic meets a friend at the restaurant where Melinda's new boyfriend works and tells him everything about his current situation. He admits that he is still holding on to his marriage with Melinda even though he's deeply hurt. He also mentions Melinda's new affair with Charles. Later, in his garden, Vic imagines Melinda and Charles in a car, making out passionately without the slightest concern for his feelings. The next day, Vic waited worriedly at home for Melinda, who hadn't returned all night. He decided to leave their child with a friend, thinking he might get angry at Melinda for going too far this time. When Melinda finally arrived, Vic immediately asked where she had been and about the money she had given to someone named Charles. Vic's patience was running out this time. He angrily confronted Melinda, demanding she end her affair. However, it seemed like Melinda ignored all of Vic's words. Later, Vic and Melinda attend a party where Charles is also present. Melinda proudly introduces Charles to the guests and asks him to play the piano. Charles wows everyone with his piano skills, getting the party started with excitement and dancing. However, Vic appears visibly upset, watching Melinda closely throughout the evening and noticing her getting closer to Charles. A while later, Vic looks for Melinda, and a friend tells him she is upstairs. When he arrives, he sees Melinda leaving a room with Charles. They head for the pool. In front of everyone, Melinda and Charles appear to be enjoying a romantic moment in the pool without any concern for Vic's presence. Melinda seems dazzled by Charles's popularity and doesn't seem ashamed of her behavior. Suddenly, heavy rain pours down, forcing Melinda and the guests out of the pool. Only Vic and Charles remain in the water. After everyone leaves, Vic approaches Charles with a look of hatred. In a sudden fury, Vic kills Charles. Despite the shocking act, Vic returns to the party as if nothing has happened. While everyone is still partying, Charles's body starts floating in the pool without anyone noticing. Later, Melinda starts searching for Charles all over the house but can't find him. Finally, she checks the pool and screams in horror when she sees his unconscious body floating. Everyone rushes to help, including Vic. They quickly lift Charles's body out of the pool, but unfortunately, a tragic accident occurs. Due to the slippery floor, Charles's body slips and his head hits the pool edge, causing instant death. The police arrive at the scene and begin investigating the case. In the middle of the chaos, Melinda quickly accuses Vic of killing Charles, but others disagree, believing Charles died from hitting his head on the poolside. However, Don has a different idea. He suspects Charles might have died while still in the pool. After a long argument and with no real proof, the police decide that Charles's death is purely an accident, so the case is closed. After everything is over, Vic and Melinda return home. Melinda grabs her usual coffee, and this routine is nothing new to them. Vic walks over, thinking about their next move. He asks if they should consider splitting up or if she's scared of him. Melinda smiles and comforts Vic, saying she doesn't want a divorce and isn't afraid. She knows he did it for her and believes there is no reason for them to separate. A few days later, Vic returns to his daily routine, which includes cycling. However, he starts noticing someone watching him from a distance. One day, after dropping Trixie off at school, Vic walks out and approaches Kelly, who tells him her husband Don is beginning to suspect Vic of killing Charles. Don has even invited Melinda over to discuss the matter. After hearing Kelly's news, Vic decides to invite both Kelly and Don to his house for dinner. However, Vic's real goal is to chat with Don about his suspicions privately. As the invitation is accepted, they both come to the dinner. During the meeting, Vic tells Don to stop suspecting him and spreading rumors. However, Don still thinks Vic is the killer and even brings up another death, Martin McRae's from earlier. Despite feeling scared, Don stands by his beliefs. The next day, after dropping Trixie off at school, Vic thinks a car has been following him. Parked at a restaurant, upon closer inspection, he is surprised to find a camera in the car, confirming his suspicions. Without wasting time, Vic enters the restaurant, his distrust growing stronger. Inside, he's surprised to see Melinda sitting with a man who turns out to be the car's owner. As Vic gets to know the man, who introduces himself as David, a psychologist planning to open a practice in the city, he starts to suspect that the man isn't Melinda's new affair but the one who has been following him. Despite David's explanations, Vic remains suspicious, believing he's a private investigator hired by Don and Melinda. After leaving the restaurant, Vic heads to Don's house with proof of Melinda's money transferred to Don's account. When he arrives, Vic firmly confronts Don, accusing him of crossing the line by meddling in his personal life. The revelation leaves Kelly feeling embarrassed and furious with her husband. Later, as Vic is getting ready to go, he sees Melinda with her new boyfriend again. Without her noticing, Vic decides to follow them secretly. That night, while bathing his daughter, Trixie innocently asks about Charles's death. With a smile, Trixie casually mentions that she knows her father killed Charles. Shocked by her daughter's words, Vic tells Trixie to not tell anyone about it. The next day, Vic invites Melinda's new boyfriend to his house, only to realize that the man is Melinda's ex-boyfriend named Tony. Melinda's behavior was getting worse and worse, and she even dared to tell Vic that Tony was the first American guy she slept with. To make matters worse, they repeat their intimate act in front of Vic, showing no remorse or guilt. On a sunny day, Vic finds Tony walking on foot with confidence. Vic lies to Tony, saying that Melinda is waiting for him at a house they are considering buying. Tony immediately believes him and joins Vic to go to the supposed location. However, Vic actually takes Tony to an empty woods near the river where he often cycles. Knowing the area well, Vic drives his car into the forest, stopping suddenly near the end of a steep drop. As Tony gets out of the car, Vic throws a rock at him, hitting him in the head. He then picks up a bigger rock and throws it, causing Tony to fall into the ravine and hit his head on a large rock, killing him instantly. Vic drags Tony's body to the riverbank, takes his wallet, and then drowns Tony's body in the river by tying a big rock to it. Afterward, Vic returns home as if nothing happened, even toasting with his daughter. The next day, Vic takes his wife and child on a picnic to the same place where he killed Tony. There, he lovingly gives Melinda a gift, an album of old photos of her. On the last page, Vic writes an expression of his love for Melinda, improving their relationship slightly. Sometime later, while looking for Trixie on the riverbank, Vic sees Tony's body floating to the surface. He quickly takes his family home. However, Melinda leaves her favorite scarf behind and wants to go back for it. Vic promises her to go alone to get it later. After returning home, Vic hurries back to the woods to check on Tony's dead body. In the meantime, Melinda enters Vic's snail pet room and finds Tony's wallet, which makes her think that Vic may have killed Tony. She immediately calls and tells Don of her discovery, also telling him that Vic is heading to the forest. Meanwhile, Vic is struggling to hide Tony's body by drowning it, but his efforts don't work. Suddenly, Don appears with Melinda's scarf, which he found near the river. Don, now suspicious of Vic, tries to get closer to him as Vic keeps trying to hide the body. Don is surprised by Tony's hand floating in the water and runs away scared, realizing Vic is a murderer. He gets into the car, starts speeding, and tries dialing the police while driving, but the phone slips from his hand. Vic, realizing that his crime has been exposed, begins to chase Don. After a long pursuit, Vic manages to block Don's path using a shortcut, causing him to lose control of his car and crash into a cliff, resulting in his death. After going through these troubling and terrible events, Vic returns to his routine of riding his bike. When he arrives home, Melinda greets him with a smile but leaves without saying a word. Inside the house, Melinda burns Tony's wallet and ID. The story ends with silence. Thanks for watching.